we got to preview the AFC West, your old beat for 4 years. So let's start off with Kansas City. So obviously Tyreek Hill is now gone. It is now obviously Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, Juju Smith-Schuster, Marvez. No, it's Marquez. No,
Valdez Scanton.
Scan Valdez Scantling. There you go. That's his name.
MVS, Fernando.
Huh?
MVS.
There you go. So obviously it's gonna be a different kind of offense. Patrick Mahomes came out this week and he said that this offense is gonna be a harder to game plan for opposing defenses than it was with Tyreek Hill. Gilbert, do you believe that, or do you feel like it's just him kind of trying to throw teams off and saying, "Hey, we're still dangerous, no matter if we have Tyreek Hill or not"?
Yeah, I don't know if I believe it, but what else can you say? You can't be like, hey, we lost Tyreek Hill, the most dangerous weapon in the NFL. We're gonna suck now. You cannot say that, but there is some truth there that now the offense maybe will expand, and you can't just focus on Kelce and Tyreek, and you got to focus on these other receivers. But again, when you name those receivers, you just name Fernando. It doesn't strike a lot of fear into opposing defenses. So I know Juju was once a good receiver, but he hasn't done it recently. MVS couldn't do it with Aaron Rodgers. So I have concerns about the receivers. But, when you're getting predictable and you've been at the top of the game for, 5, 6, 7 years, whatever Mahomes has been around for, maybe it's not a bad thing to evolve and adjust because, as you know, Fernando, in the NFL, people catch up. It's a copycat league. They'll try to figure you out. They break down film. So maybe evolving could be better for everybody. But again, it's going to take some time. And I don't know how much I buy this whole, hey, we're going to be a lot more dangerous without Tyreek.
Right now, I just pictured in my head Rob Schneider and the Waterboy. Oh, no, we suck again with what you just said. But Gilbert, I think this offense is going to change. Why do I think this is going to change? I don't think those receivers are going to be the difference. I think what's going to be the difference is the different ways that Andy Reid is going to use these running backs. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Jerick McKinnon, and Ronald Jones, the Ronald Jones from USC that won a Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think they're going to use their running backs in different ways. I think they're going to use that the receiver that they drafted, Sky Moore. I think they're going to use him in different ways. I think we're going to see a different kind of Chiefs offense than we're used to. Yes. I don't know if it's going to still be explosive. I don't know if they're going to be able to put up the video game numbers that they put up before, but I'm really interested to see kind of what this Chiefs offense is going to be, because I remember at times teams would try and double team Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce would come open. You double team Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill comes open. Is there going to be somebody that can match that with Travis? Is somebody else going to be able to be that kind of weapon for them this season? Remains to be seen, but I'm interested to see if somebody can do that with that offense. Patrick Mahomes is still dangerous. He's still Patrick Mahomes, but can they duplicate what they did the last few years? I just don't think that they're going to be able to do that.
Yeah, before we move on, to the other side of the ball or whatever team we have next, Fernando, is the more you start listing players, the more I dislike the Chiefs roster. It's just like it's Travis Kelce and a bunch of guys.
Yeah.
These running backs haven't done much, and Andy Reid is not known for running the ball heavily anyways, but he's known for making it work with what he has and being efficient. So I won't count out, the best quarterback in the game in Patrick Mahomes and a play caller who's done it every year. Yes, Fernando, I said what I said. And we don't have to get into it. Who's better than Patrick Mahomes? But Andy Reid,
Edward,
he's
Patrick, Brady.
Anyways, Andy Reid has been the play caller for a long time, and Eric Bieniemy is there too. So they have coaching consistency. They have the best quarterback in the game. They'll figure it out, and the best tight end in the game.
Does Patrick Mahomes go to Peru to go figure out what he needs for his body that season? Does he?
Aaron Rodgers hasn't won a Super Bowl since Mahomes was 5 years old. So
since we were still in high school. Now going back to the Chiefs defense, do you feel like they added enough? I mean, they drafted Trent McDuffie I remember you liked him coming out of Washington. They also drafted the pass rusher George Karlaftis. They added guys like Carlos Dunlap, Mike Dana was already there. They got I can't remember who's the other guy that Danny Sheldon. They added some guys. Gilbert, I feel like the Honey Badger's no longer there. He went back to New Orleans. Justin Reed is the guy there. I think this defense might be a little bit worse than it was last year, Gilbert. especially without the honey badger was all over the field. I don't know if Justin Reed can be what the honey badger was.
I think you're right there, but there's just a lot of unknown. Like, what if Karlaftis and McDuffie actually end up being really good rookies and they improve the defense because they now have talent. It's just unknown talent, so it's kind of hard to figure out. And they have Chris Jones still there, and
and a good defensive coordinator in Steve Spagnuolo.
Yeah, and I'm always kind of up and down on Frank Clark, so they have something up top. But it's not the best defense, but they have playmakers, and this is one thing I'll say I'm concerned about for now because I used to always say this. I used to say the defense, it doesn't matter how bad they are, they're gonna put up points with Tyreek Hill, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce. What? Now we get rid of no Tyreek Hill. Are they going to put up the same amount of points with a bad defense? It could be an issue. Fernando, you got me thinking. I really like the Chiefs, and now the more I talk about it, I'm starting to get off the wagon. But let's move on.
And just really quick, the one positive that they have on their defense, Willie Gay and Nick Bolton. I think they're both very good linebackers. Nick Bolton really shined last year in that Thursday night game against the Chargers. Speaking about the silver and black. Let's get ahead now to the Raiders. Obviously, they made some noise this offseason. A lot of people were surprised when Rich Bisaccia did not get the job after he took them into the playoffs. They bring in somebody familiar to the AFC West in Josh McDaniels. We met him in Indy, Gilbert. Remember he said what's up to us, introduced himself to all of us, so that was pretty cool to get to meet him and everything. Now they traded for Davante Adams. Now that they have him, do you feel like the connection with him and Derek Carr will right away will show week 1 against the Chargers, or do you think it's gonna take a little bit of time, especially because they haven't played together in 6-7 years?
I'll lean on, it will be pretty instant chemistry because of the friendship. They're really close friends. Like put it this way. Davante Adams left Aaron Rodgers because that's how much he loves Derek Carr. That's his best friend. I think when you have that kind of mutual respect there and friendship, it's quick. And you can say into it, but like when you're also calling him a Hall of Famer, there's a lot of love right there and there's chemistry. So I will say Davante Adams and Derek Carr will be fine. Just to go a little more off on that, I like the offense for the Raiders. I like Hunter Renfrow. I think he's underrated. And Michael Davis keeps getting, on the highlight reel of Hunter Renfrow for that ankles being broken. And I don't know what's going on with Darren Waller. We should maybe ask Vic or if Fernando. But Darren Waller is a good tight end if he's available. And overall, I like this offense. I don't know how much I believe in Derek Carr, but I think this chemistry with Davante will help in the beginning.
I can't remember if it was our producer Victor who told me, but I think somebody told me that they're a Colton Miller injury away from being a bad offensive line. So that's going to be interesting to see also the offensive line and what way they're going to be able to, if they're going to be able to keep Derek Carr upright, especially because we all know the pass rushing here in the AFC West has gone up. But I also think the chemistry is gonna be good with them right away, just because obviously Derek Carr and Davante Adams know each other. They put up video game numbers at Fresno. I'm sure that they're gonna put up some good numbers here. Now the only question is, are you gonna double team him and leave everybody else one-on-one, or what teams are gonna do it? So week 1, I'm interested. It's gonna be JC Jackson against Davante Adams right away, and you get some fireworks already. But speaking of pass rushers, Gilbert. I felt like the Raiders did a good job in getting Chandler Jones. They keep Max Crosby, but will they be good enough to help the defense stop opposing offenses, especially because their secondary is probably about, I think, bottom tier of the NFL. I don't know what you think, but but obviously, do you think that they're good enough to be able to stop opposing offenses?
I might piss off the producer of the show, Victor, with this because he's a Raiders fan, but outside of Chandler Jones and Max Crosby and Denzel Perryman, because a former Charger, I can't really name the rest of this defense. I have concerns for the defense. The secondary has been pretty terrible for the last 10 years. I don't know how much better they got. I know they traded for some guys in the secondary. Rock Yas, I forgot his last name, whatever. There you go, Rock Yasin. And other than that,
Nate Hobbs.
So they have some bodies there, and then it's a new regime, and maybe they'll figure it out. I do like the DC. He came over from the Giants.
Patrick Graham.
Yeah, he's really good. So maybe he'll figure it out with that 3-4 scheme. It's pretty kind of relatable to what Staley does and Raheem Morris and those guys. So I just don't like the defense. I like the pressure they're going to bring with Max Crosby and Chandler Jones. I think Chandler Jones still has plenty left in the tank. That's a great 1-2 punch, but I don't think they have enough on defense, Fernando.
My only thing is that Chandler Jones has kind of been injured a lot lately, the last few years, and that's the kind of the concern that you take with getting him and a Khalil Mack and some of these older guys is that they've been. I mean, Khalil Mack has only been injured last year, but Chandler's kind of been hurt the last few. Last year, though, maybe I'm wrong on this. I think he had a game where he had like 4 sacks, and I think it was against the Panthers. Chandler Jones did. So I mean, he's still got it. He's still one of the best pass rushers out there. I'm interested to see. I know his name had come up with the Chargers during free agency, but I'm interested to see kind of what their pass rush is going to do. But I'm with you. I think their defense is going to be that good. I think it's going to be. It's against Russell Wilson. I think their weakness also, like Vic is trying to tell us, is also going to be D tackle, similar to the Chargers. They had some weaknesses there, so maybe it's going to be running the ball against the Raiders, but.
I'll give some more love to the Raiders. They have a good special teams unit. The kicker's good. The punter's good. They have Pro Bowlers there. Let's not forget the special teams.
Yeah, no. Yeah, for the brand. Obviously, Carlson is one of these guys that he just doesn't miss at Allegiant Stadium. So he's going to be very good. He's a very good kicker, and obviously he came out of nowhere for them. So a diamond in the rough, I guess. But now let's move on to the Chargers. They were the 3rd team last year. They almost made the playoffs. They had that incredible shootout with the Raiders on Sunday Night Football. Gilbert, obviously you were there on Saturday. It was a little bit of Storm Norton mixed in with a little bit of Trey Pipkins. I honestly didn't think we'd get to this point with either one of them being named the starter. I keep on hearing that both of them are so good and they both add so much to the offense. I still don't see it, but do you feel like the right tackle position will the right tackle position be able to hamper the Chargers, not hamper the Chargers offense in 2022?
This is nice, Fernando. I'm talking Chargers again. Look at us. People are going to not talk Chargers anymore, but here we are talking Chargers. And I've been following this story because, I was there for the 2022 offseason, and the right tackle position was something they did not address. So I think it is a good question. Will the right tackle position doom the Chargers? Because it did. Let's be real. It did a year ago in that, win in your end game where Crosby took over and dominated Storm Norton. And I think off of that game, I left a bad taste in everybody's mouth. So I think that's why Trey Pipkins is getting more of an opportunity. I think you mentioned he was a starter. So again, I didn't see much from either guy. I was focusing more on the Rams. I'll say that. But again, we know the names. We know the history of Trey Pipkins, Storm Norton. It's not going to get it done when you're facing the top defensive lines of the AFC West or the AFC. So they could get by, just kind of play to the left side. Zion Johnson had a decent, debut at right guard. So they don't have to go totally to the left side, but I think it's going to hurt them eventually, Fernando.
Yeah, you don't have Michael Schofield in there the way you did last year. So now it's Zion looked pretty good on Saturday. So, I mean, he had a mistake here or there, but I really do think that the Chargers are going to need to put their best foot forward because that right side, I mean, it didn't really come up until that last game against the Raiders, but they're going to need to have their heads on a swivel because that right side could really screw them if it comes down to it. I want to ask you this, but I feel like we need to jump to it.
All right.
Derwin James still doesn't have a contract. Yesterday was day 14 of him not having a contract. After practice, Brandon Staley was asked about the hold-in, and he said, I don't look at Derwin as a safety. I look at Derwin as an impact player. I think if you're just looking at him as a safety, that wouldn't be doing Derwin justice. For me, I look at the play as a defensive back. I look at him to play as a defensive back. When I see him, I'm like, that's a defensive back because he can play anywhere. He can play either safety spot. He can play corner. He can play star or money. He can rush the passer. he can make an impact as a blitzer. He can make an impact in man-to-man coverage, and then he can make an impact in zone
That's
defense.
a long list,
Whether he's
Fernando.
playing low or playing high, he's our signal caller and he's the heartbeat of this defense. I think I think Brandon just helped David Molingetta and
He's
Derwin James make their case.
he is talking to Tom Telesco. I don't want to start drama, but it sounds like he's talking to the GM and saying, "Get it done. Don't treat this guy like a safety. This guy's more of a everything. Actually, he's not just defense. He's pretty the heart and soul of the offense. So he does everything." And before I ask you the question, Fernando, I'll say this about Derwin James. Hopefully the Chargers are not treating him as just a safety. This guy does so much, and I get the injuries. That's part of the negotiations there, and I think Tom Telesco is maybe to a fault a good negotiator because usually he gets his way, and sometimes it just becomes messy and it goes the way they want. But the injuries could be a factor. But shout out to Jeff Miller, Chargers beat reporter of the LA Times. He compared a contract that again he had the same agent. Jalen Ramsey, I get he plays cornerback, but he does the star position. He does everything that Derwin James does: safety, dimebacker, slot, outside, everything. I get Jalen does the cornerback stuff better, but on the flip side, Derwin does the pass rushing and the safety stuff better. So just take the Jalen Ramsey contract and give him that one because I think that's his value there. I know it's too tricky to get into the cornerback scale. From safety to cornerback is a big jump, Fernando, and that's where it's getting messy. But take the Jalen Ramsey contract and call it a day. Jalen will probably get paid again in a couple years and surpass that. But the question I have for you, Fernando, is: are you now getting concerned? Because I told you last week this is getting messy. It's getting ugly. I see as a concern. I don't know what you were saying now.
Well, I told you last week that if we get to the Cowboys versus Chargers joint practice and he still doesn't have a contract, yeah, it's gonna start getting concerning, and it's starting to get to that point. Why? Because it's there. Because Derwin is your best player. Derwin and Justin Herbert are your best players. But Derwin's more than just a player. He's an ambassador for your team. Gilbert, you and I remember Justin Herbert gets drafted. Who's the first person that he met? Derwin James. Brandon Staley gets hired. Who's the first person that he meets? Derwin James. All these guys. Who's the first person that reached out to Khalil Mack? Derwin James. He is an ambassador for the team. He really has become more than just a player for the organization. He's become an all-around face of the franchise that not even, and I'm going to be honest, not even the old regime would do that. So I'm starting to get a little concerned. It has to be Derwin. It has to be they have to give him the contract. And I know next season you're going to have to give Justin his contract if you want. If not, you can wait another year, but it's only going to get more expensive. But I do think that they need to give Derwin James his contract.
They got to get it done, Fernando. And this is the last thing I'll say on the Chargers because we got to move on. We got a bunch of teams to get through today. It's a very telling sign that this defense is not ready to go yet because guys who you expect to be playing a lot of snaps were playing in the preseason. Michael Davis, Cherry Tillery, Morgan Fox, Asante Samuel Jr. surprised me. But these are a lot of players who are going to have a big role. And that tells you they're unproven to Staley, and we'll see how that goes.
Definitely. Moving on to the Broncos, it is year one for Russell Wilson. Gilbert, Tom Brady won 2 years ago. He won the Super Bowl as a year one quarterback on a new team. Last year was Matthew Stafford. Could Russell Wilson be a year one quarterback winner, Super Bowl winner?
I don't see it. I see a lot of holes on this roster, and we kind of been saying it throughout the whole offseason. Yeah. I think their wide receivers are a little overrated.
They lost Tim Patrick.
Yeah, injuries again. Their offensive line is shaky. They're not consistent. I kind of like their running backs, but Melvin Gordon a year older. The younger one, I'm already blanking. Fernando, he's better.
Javonte Williams.
There you go, Javonte, which had a nice big screen run against the Chargers last year. I remember him. And then the defense, I keep saying it. Yeah, the defense it's nice, it's stacked. But the reason why that part that mostly worked is because Vic Fangio is a mastermind on defense. Now you lose that, and you have a first-year head coach and Nathaniel Hackett who focuses more on offense. I don't know. A lot needs to go right for this to work out. Maybe they'll be a playoff team, but I'm just not ready to go all in on let's ride.
Let's ride. They lost a lot of pieces also on that defensive side of the football. So it's going to be interesting to see. And then they added Randy Gregory, who I'm not completely sold on. So I'm definitely with you.